Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's BlueActionBANOS webinar. This is the second webinar where we are going to talk about the open calls that we have currently available and the funding opportunities. So let's give everyone maybe 1-2 minutes more to join. We would also like to inform you that this meeting is being recorded, and we will be publishing the video on BlueActionBANOS website and also through our YouTube channel. Thank you very much for joining. I can see some more people are still appearing. We'll start in a minute, right? Okay, I think at this point we can start. So once again, welcome. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your time. We'll do our best to present all the information, to share all the information with you about BlueActionBANOS open calls today. As I said, it's the second webinar, the second technical webinar. My name is Maria Karpilowska. I'm a senior project manager working for Funding Box Accelerator, one of the partners of the project. And the agenda that we have for you for today is here in the slide. First, we'll invite Sonia from Innovatum to present the vision and objectives of BlueActionBANOS and Mission Ocean and Waters. Then we'll provide you with a very quick overview of the open calls, because this is something we focused on during the first webinar. We would like to focus a lot today on the eligibility and how you can check by yourself if your organization, your entity is eligible for our open calls. We'll go then through the selection process, evaluation criteria, and independent evaluation process. We'll give you some tips on how to prepare for submitting the full proposal, and then we will have a part of this meeting today reserved, booked for your questions and our answers. So if you have any questions, you can type them in the chats, and we'll try to address all of them in this last part of the meeting today. And right now, I would like to invite Sonia to present the project and Mission Ocean and Waters. Over to you.
Wonderful. Yes, thank you so much. And I am one of the partners, of course, in the BlueActionBANOS Consortium coming from Sweden. So excited to be here today and tell you more about this project and the opportunities that it's providing. So next slide, please. So just a quick review, we are a project of 18 partners in 11 countries, and the BlueActionBANOS project itself is running for 48 months. We kicked off in September 2025, and we will be continuing until August 2029. And the budget that we've received for this project is 12.4 million euro. It's a Horizon Europe program project, and it's being coordinated, of course, by our Submariner network for Blue Growth. But not to confuse, this is the project BlueActionBANOS. Of course, you will also have projects within this project. So next slide, please. Just to give a quick overview of the different partners that are actually involved in the project, and as well to showcase a bit of the breadth of competences that are going to be available to those also within the project. We are coming from different clusters, different academic groups, research institutes, and of course we have even our partner Funding Box with much of the competences around this type of financing that we're doing through the calls, the open calls. So again, a very interesting group of competences that will be made available to you, actually, who will be then trying to apply for these different open calls. Next slide. This project itself has not come first. We actually had another project that was prior to us called BlueActionBANOS. And this BlueActionBANOS was, of course, also a way to coordinate around the different lighthouses, as we're calling them, that are sites for test and demonstration to deploy mission activities across the EU in the different seas and river basins. So for our purposes, this BlueActionBANOS project, we are focusing mostly within the Baltic and North Sea region, but there, of course, will be other sister projects that are in the other basin areas. And the thinking behind this is to really provide a coordinated effort across Europe to try out new ideas and involve local businesses and people in the process of really meeting the mission objectives. Next slide. So BlueActionBANOS, this one that we are currently working within, is this 4-year initiative, part of this EU mission, Restore Our Ocean and Waters. And for those of you who don't necessarily know all the details around the mission work, there are 3 main objectives for the main EU mission ocean work to restore, protect, and preserve the health of our ocean, seas, and inland waters. That's important to emphasize. And these 3 objectives, of course, are what will be the focus of both our project and also what we are looking for in terms of the projects that you are coming with. Protecting and restoring marine and freshwater ecosystems and biodiversity, preventing and eliminating pollution of our seas, oceans, and waters, and also making the sustainable blue economy carbon neutral and circular. So these are really key aspects for those of you listening today to have with you and have with you when you're applying into the open calls. Next slide. The mission ocean and its project objectives. Again, the BlueActionBANOS is just a project to enable others to really be aligned with and support with their own project initiatives, the EU mission. And this, of course, is in alignment with the European Green Deal to deliver and support measurable contributions to biodiversity conservation, pollution reduction, the transition to a climate neutral, sustainable blue bioeconomy, and of course to facilitate, I didn't mention, but the earlier projects around the Mission Ocean have focused a lot on looking at solutions, but now the phase 2 is very much about implementation, about rolling out some of the amazing innovations that we know we could put on the ground and make a major difference in our oceans and waters and in this BANOS lighthouse area, again, the North Sea and Baltic regions. So what we're really seeing in this project is we want to support and also provide an opportunity for through financing and other types of support to scale up solutions that have been piloted perhaps in early stages, and we want to deploy them across a broader set of contexts and regions throughout the lighthouse area that we've described. And so this is a really great opportunity for many of us to engage through this project and through the opportunities it's providing. So we're really looking forward to having many more putting their energy and efforts into contributing to this larger project objective. Next slide. So just again, as maybe a repeat of what I've already said, this whole initiative we are speaking about today is really focused on mobilizing and empowering diverse communities of actors on the ground in local communities, I'll add, with practical, easily accessible support that we will be providing to actually do implementation work. So implementing innovative, high impact actions that really make a difference and restore our ocean, seas, and waters. So this is a much greater context, of course, that this project is fitting within, but now we're bringing it to the ground, to the local communities through this initiative and really opening the opportunity for many to be part of scaling out a lot of these high impact actions. So thank you very much. I think that's for me. I'll leave it back to you, Maria.
Thank you very much, Sonia. I think we had one more slide.
Sorry. One more slide, yes. And of course, just to be more clear about what this initiative is actually offering, we are providing through these open calls financing opportunities, but in combination with targeted financial assistance, our BAB consortia will also be providing technical guidance and strategic knowledge sharing opportunities to support you who are putting together your projects and scaling up and deploying some of these mission ocean solutions within the Lighthouse area. Again, referring back to the consortiate and the breadth of competences, this is really something exciting for all of you because this is the technical guidance aspect as well that you'll have access to. So community-led actions we'll be talking about, Maria will be presenting, and the transition agendas. So that's for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sonia, for this introduction and presenting the whole wider context of BlueActionBANOS project. I think this is very helpful for potential applicants to understand this context. So let's move on. You already know that we have 2 open calls running, community-led actions and transition agendas. We presented them in more detail in the previous webinar. So here just a quick reminder. These are 2 separate open calls, 2 different support programs, and let's say 2 different funding instruments. So in community-led actions, we are looking to support groups of stakeholders which have a common interest, or their interest is within the same area. Of course, those groups of stakeholders must be within Baltic and North Sea countries, and we are looking for such groups that want to implement initiatives that will contribute to Mission Ocean and Waters objectives. We are in this open call, we are looking for applications from consortia of minimum 2, maximum 12 entities. And the grants available are up to 2 million per one community-led action, with the limit of funding 500,000 euros per one entity. And within transition agendas, we are looking for projects that want to develop strategic roadmaps for sustainable and systemic changes that target also Mission Ocean and Water objectives, also within the same geographic area as mentioned before, so Baltic and North Sea countries. And we are looking at projects who want to develop multi-year plans for those systemic changes and for the goals of the Mission Ocean. Here we will be accepting applications from individual entities or small consortia of up to 3 entities. The available funding is up to 100,000 euros per one project, per one transition agenda, with the funding limit of 60,000 euro per one entity. And the basic rules for both of those open calls and both support programs and funding instruments, whatever we call them, are that project goals, so your project goals, proposed project goals, must be aligned with Mission Ocean and Waters objectives. The applicants must be established in the Baltic and North Sea countries, and proposals may concern may want to implement actions in one BANOS country or several of those countries. However, the impact always must be within the BANOS area, so Baltic and North Sea countries. So moving on, today, as I said, we would like to focus a lot on eligibility and how you can check whether your entity is eligible to participate in the open call. This is also based on our experience with questions received from potential applicants via help desk, via national contact points. So the open call was launched at the end of November, on the 28th of November, and since then we have been receiving questions from applicants, and a lot of those questions focus on eligibility, and this is why we would like to to talk about this in today in the webinar. So how to look at it from the self-assessment point of view. So we prepared a series of questions that you probably need to answer to be able to check, am I a good fit for the open calls within BlueActionBANOS or not? So here you can see the list of those questions. We are going to go through them one by one. So let's start with the first question. Which community are you engaged with? So basically, we are looking for entities that will have a certain impact within their community, within the BANOS area, and so on and so forth. That's why we, in the terms and conditions of the open call, we have a full list of communities which are relevant for BlueActionBANOS. And as you can see, the list is very long. It's ports, islands, fishing, and aquaculture communities, vessel operators, river basin or inland water groups focusing on water management, pollution, and so on and so forth. However, the most important piece of information is at the bottom of this list. So any other community within the BANOS area that could benefit from the impact of funded project. And I think this is the key sentence. So it's just we must make sure that the applying entities work within communities where this project makes sense, where it makes sense for BlueActionBANOS and for Mission Ocean and Waters objective. So this is the most important takeaway of this slide. The next question, what type of entity are you? So again, here the list is pretty long. Regional or local authorities, non-governmental organizations, foundations, locally based companies, knowledge brokers, financial institutions, and so on and so forth. And again, and any other legal entities in the relevant communities. So basically the most important requirement is that your entity works with the relevant community and that your entity is a legal entity, right? So this is the second point. So the community and the type of entity, right? The next requirement is the geographical one. So as you know, we are focusing on, as Sonia has already presented, on the Baltic and North Sea basin countries. We list 11 of those: Belgium, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, Germany, Latvia, Lithuania, the Netherlands, Norway, Poland, and Sweden. So these are the 11 countries. All of those countries are also represented by the partners within the consortium. So we are able to provide you with support locally. What happens if your entity is established outside this area, outside one of those 11 countries? Well, if this is justified by project needs, then you are still eligible. However, you should describe in your full proposal the rationale behind your participation in this open call, right? One more requirement, if you are applying as a consortium, the coordinator of the consortium, the coordinating entity, must be established in one of those 11 countries. Here, I'd like to make one more point that Sonia has already brought up, that we are not operating in void. There are 3 other, let's say, sister projects in 3 other lighthouses. So if your entity is established in one of the countries in the Mediterranean region, or Danube and Black Sea, or Atlantic and Arctic, probably those other action projects would be a better choice for you, right? The next two questions you would need to answer yourselves to check if you're eligible are those that you can see here. So will your project contribute to Mission Ocean and Water's goals? So protection and restoration of marine and freshwater ecosystem and biodiversity, preventing or eliminating pollution, of course, of our waters, and turning towards a more sustainable and circular, carbon neutral blue economy, right? So those are those three overarching goals, and your project should contribute to them. And of course, the next one, the impact of your project must be within the BANOS area. So this is the next question to consider. Also, we are looking at a type of specific activities that are eligible for financial support under those two open calls, community-led actions and transition agendas. So again, the lists are very long for those eligible activities. That's why it is very important for applicants, potential applicants, to go to the terms and conditions for community-led actions or transition agendas open call, go to Annex 1, there is an annex, and this annex lists all those activities that are eligible for funding. Therefore, before you start thinking about the idea for your project and then full proposal, it would be very good to go through those lists and to decide whether what you want to do can fit within one of those bullet points, right? Those lists are really really comprehensive, and we are looking at a really wide range of activities. So this is not to give you a limited list, but just to make sure that your project will fit with those activities which are eligible. The next point, a very important one as well, is to consider any potential conflicts of interests. So how do we define a conflict of interest? This is a situation where there exists some capital or personal connections due to reasons such as ownership relations or family and personal relationships or any financial relationships, employment, cooperation or existing contract, and so on and so forth, between an applicant and one of BlueActionBANOS partners. So you will find the list of all BlueActionBANOS partners on our website. So it's good to, again, have a look through this list. And if you are in doubt whether a situation may be a conflict of interest or not, you can always reach to us via help desk email address. Not every such situation will eliminate you from even submitting a full proposal. We encourage you to proceed with the open call and apply. However, you can always let us know in the form what the situation is, what kind of relation there is, and if you are not sure whether this is a conflict of interest or not, and you apply, we will always look into this information in detail after the submission as well. As I said, you can also share your doubts with us through help desk email, and we'll try to support you with this. Here I included the question that I think it's the star question, the winning question of all the questions we received, because we receive it very often. The question is, can one entity apply within different projects? Okay, so with BlueActionBANOS, the rules are that one entity can participate only in one program. So you can participate in either community-led actions or transition agendas. Another rule is that one entity can receive grant from BlueActionBANOS only once. So what happens if you apply with two different consortia within one program, for example, within community-led actions only. If the consortia are different, the composition of the consortia is different, potentially both of the projects where you are engaged, potentially they can both, let's say, win, right? However, since you can receive grant from BlueActionBANOS only once, you will participate in one of those projects with the budget, so you will receive a grant. But in the second project, you would need to participate on a zero budget because you cannot receive grant twice. In the second scenario, if you apply, your entity applies with two different consortia, but one project is for community-led actions, another one is for transition agendas. If both of those projects win, you will need to decide which of the programs you want to participate in. However, the issue is for the remaining partners of the consortium where you decide not to participate because their project will fall apart. That's why we recommend that you focus from the very beginning on one of the programs. You decide from the beginning whether you would like to participate in community-led actions or transition agendas, and focus on one of the programs. Of course, if you submit a project idea form for community-led actions, but later over the consultation, we recommend that you apply for transition agendas, this is not a problem. I will explain why later on, right? So at the project idea form, this is not an issue at all, right? But for the full proposal, you need to decide which program you want to participate in. Moving on, I would like to give you a very quick overview right now of the selection process. What are the steps in this selection process? And then we'll move on to the evaluation. So the selection process starts with the submission of the full proposal form. However, in order to be able to submit the full proposal form, you need to perform a step, one step before, okay? And this one step is the submission of project idea form and consultations. And this is very, very important to go through those two steps. They are not evaluated, however, they are obligatory. So if you don't go through the submission of the project idea form and consultations, you will not be able to even start a full proposal, right? So project idea form is a short form where we ask, what do you think you would like to do with BlueActionBANOS support? What is your idea, right? And this form, when you submit it, it's not evaluated in any way, right? This is not a step in the evaluation selection process. This is a means of support. So this is where the consortium experts can look at your idea. They will contact you, schedule a consultation. You will have a chance to pitch your project to BlueActionBANOS experts, our consortium experts, and they will tell you, maybe they will tell you, great idea, proceed, or they will tell you, great idea, proceed, but with transition agendas or not community-led actions. Or they will tell you, fantastic idea, but we think that you may need another partner to be able to implement this project, and so on and so forth, right? So the project idea form is to provide you support, okay? But this step is very important and necessary so you can get access to the full proposal form. And now a very important piece of information. The deadline for submitting project idea form is 16th of March. So basically it's in 2 months, right? So you have 2 months to draft your idea, submit this form, and go through the consultations. If you already have a draft project idea form open in our system, our recommendation is to submit it as soon as possible. Why? Because if we receive a high number of submissions just before the deadline, then it will be very hard to schedule a consultation without a long waiting time. And then the time you could spend on the full proposal for you will be shorter. So in your best interest, we encourage you to submit the project idea form as soon as possible, schedule a consultation, and then you can start working on your full proposal. Here we have more time, the deadline for submitting full proposals. So the long form where you provide complete information about your project. The deadline is the 29th of May, 2026, 2 p.m. And this is the form that will go to evaluation, right? So the selection process starts even, before this full proposal submission. And here further steps. So what happens? You submit your full proposal. After the deadline, when we close the open call for all the applicants, we look at all the submissions and we check the basic admissibility and eligibility criteria. We check this only based on the information you include in your proposals, right? So we check this information, we see there are no any, let's say, obvious situations where somebody is not eligible. And then all the eligible proposals go through the independent evaluation process. Once this process finishes, the selection committee, so like a decisive body of the BlueActionBANOS consortium, gathers. The selection committee looks at the list of projects after the independent evaluation and then takes the final decision which projects are pre-selected for funding. The pre-selected projects go through the formal check, and this is where we really check all those eligibility criteria based on more documents that you provide. All the proposals, projects that pass the formal check will sign the subgrant agreement with the BlueActionBANOS consortium and will become the beneficiaries of our project and will start implementation of their projects. So these are the steps of the selection process. And now, how are we going to evaluate your projects submitted within the open call? So first of all, once again, what we evaluate is the submitted full proposal form, not project idea form, right? Full proposal form. This full proposal form includes 9 sections. That's why we encourage you to go through all the previous steps, as soon as possible, so you really have time to focus on the full proposal form, because it's pretty complex. It's not straightforward, especially for community-led actions. If you want to apply with a bigger consortium, you really need time to focus on completing this form. So as I said, there are 9 sections. There's contact information. Then there are 2 sections, legal information and project information, where the information you include will inform our process of admissibility and eligibility check. Not only those 2 sections, but mainly. And then we have 3 main sections that will be evaluated by independent evaluators. So this is relevance, impact, and implementation. The next section is ethics self-assessment. This section is not, let's say, evaluated or scored by independent evaluators, but we'll ask independent evaluators to look at this section and decide whether they see any ethical issues that may require some action or some mitigation at a later stage or not. And then there are two last sections, so declarations of honor, which also inform our admissibility and eligibility check, and then processing of personal data, just some confirmations. However, the important ones are the ones in the boxes in this slide. So right now, I would like to focus on the independent evaluation criteria. So as you can see, the criteria are the same as those three main sections of the full proposal form. It's relevance, impact, and implementation. So the relevance criterion tells us whether your project is relevant to this open call or not, whether this is relevant for community-led actions, whether this project is relevant for the transition agenda's scope, right? And under this criterion, we have some sub-criteria. We are looking at ambition, so at the objectives and expected results of the project you are proposing. We are looking at innovation, but it's important to say here that we define innovation in both of those open calls in relation to the area-based context of the project you propose. So we look whether the actions you are proposing are innovative within the area where you are planning to implement your project. Maybe all the innovative aspects like partnerships, what you're trying to achieve, and so on and so forth, right? So this is how we will look at innovation. And then the third sub-criterion is the approach you present feasible? Is it credible? Is it feasible, right? The second criterion is impact. And here we will have a look at whether the impact is measurable. We will look whether there are any societal impacts and how you are planning to achieve them, and also economic and technological impact. Within this section of the full proposal, we'll also ask you to define some KPIs for your projects. And the third section is connected with implementation. So what is the quality of the plan you are proposing? So we'll ask about your work plan, so what you are trying to achieve and how. About the resources, so here it's about the budget mainly. We'll ask about your team members, and also how you're planning to engage citizens, stakeholders, and so on and so forth, because this is a very important aspect of community-led actions and transition agendas, right? Stakeholder and citizen engagement. And there is the fourth, let's say, maybe not criterion, but something to consider, ethics. There is an ethics self-assessment form included in the full proposal form, where we'll ask you some questions about the ethical aspects of your project. So 3 very important sections in the full proposal form, 3 independent evaluation criteria. All right. Now, how have we designed our independent evaluation process? So first of all, the process will be guided by principles of transparency, objectivity, and fairness. And in order to be able to do that, we have implemented a dual evaluator system. It means that each proposal will be evaluated by 2 independent experts. One of those experts will be an external expert, meaning not connected with BlueActionBANOS consortium. The other expert will be from within BlueActionBANOS consortium. The second thing is that those experts will need to be, let's say, expertise and knowledge. So one of the experts assigned to evaluation of your proposal will have expertise in the topic. The other one will be familiar with the geography of where you are planning to implement your community-led action or transition agendas. Then the next point is very important. All the proposals after the independent evaluation process are presented in a unified ranking, right? So all proposals go into the same ranking, so we can very objectively and fairly compare the results of the independent evaluation process. And the selection is merit-based. It means we are looking for quality, right? So the best proposals will be considered for funding. Now, some more details about the evaluation. As I said, each proposal will be evaluated by 2 experts, and each expert will focus on each criterion: relevance, impact, and implementation. Each criterion will be scored on a scale from 0 to 5. You can find detailed descriptors for this scale in the terms and conditions, but basically it all comes down to how adequately a proposal addresses each criterion and what are the shortcomings, or how many of those shortcomings an evaluator can see in your proposal. So 0 is for fail, 5 is for excellent, and we have 2 thresholds. So final score per criterion. For this, we'll look at the average of the 2 scores provided by 2 evaluators, and the score for this the threshold for this average is 3 points. It means you must receive on average 3 points per criterion to pass the independent evaluation. And there's the second threshold to do with the total score. So sum of all scores per 3 criteria must be at least 10 out of maximum 15, right? And here I'd like to show you 2 examples. So in this example, we have relevance with the average score 4, impact 2.5, implementation 4.5. So the total score is 11, above the threshold. And on the right, we have relevance 3, impact 3.5, implementation 3.5. Total is 10, so this is just meeting the threshold. However, the example on the left does not meet the threshold for criterion because impact is below the threshold. And the example on the right meets all the thresholds, right? So the example on the left, the proposal would not pass the independent evaluation. Example on the right, the proposal would pass the independent evaluation, right? And what happens after the independent evaluation? We have a ranking list with scores per criterion, total scores. We see which proposals met the thresholds, which are below the threshold. All proposals that meet or exceed the required thresholds for each criterion and for the total score, they are considered for the consensus meeting, so they are included in the ranking list, right? Then the consensus meeting is, as I said, this gathering of BlueActionBANOS selection committee, where the selection committee looks at the ranking list and takes a decision based on the ranking list, but also looks at the alignment of each project with BlueActionBANOS goals and scope, the ability of each project to achieve the highest impact possible, and they look at some ethical concerns or potential conflict of interest. So this is the moment when the list of proposals selected for funding is decided. However, then this list of selected proposals must go through the formal check. So this will be a separate process where we'll ask applying entities for their registration documents, tax ID numbers, ownership structure, financial statements, and so on and so forth, just to confirm all the eligibility requirements this time based on the documentation. And then all the entities, projects that pass the formal check will sign the subgrant agreement with BlueActionBANOS Consortium, and this is where your journey into the support program starts. And the last point in the agenda before we move on to Q&A is how to prepare for the full proposal submission. So the 3 very important points that we recommend: visit our website. In a minute, I will show you where to find what on this website. Read terms and conditions, a very important point. And if you have any questions, contact us through help desk. Then, as you already know, in order to submit the full proposal, you need to go through the project idea form submission and consultations. So here in the slide, we show the link to where you can submit the project idea form. Of course, all of that is included in the website as well. You will need to select the program at the bottom of the page, so community-led actions or transition agendas. As I said, this selection at this point is not final, right? Then the system will ask you to register an account. If you don't have it yet, then you complete the form, submit the form. On submission of the form, we'll contact you that we have received your form. Thank you for the submission. Somebody will contact you to schedule a consultation. Then you go through the consultation, and after the consultation, you will receive the link for the full proposal submission. Once again, like our key requirements: if you don't submit project idea form, nothing happens, right? If you submit project idea form, a lot of good things may happen. So we encourage you to submit the form. Then the deadline, a very important deadline for those project idea form submission, is the 16th of March. And please do not submit at the last time before the deadline. And the next 2 points are already pretty obvious. I think I've already emphasized a few times. You need to schedule a consultation, and then you can start working on the full proposal. The sooner you have an opportunity to start working on it, the better. And okay, maybe right now I will show you where to find things on our website. Sylvia, can you stop sharing the screen?
Yes, just a moment.
Okay, thank you.
Is it not possible from your end?
No, I cannot see. Wait. Okay, I can. Sorry, my bad. My bad. Okay, I will reshare my screen now. Please let me know if you can see it. Yes? Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right, so this is our website, and just to show you how to navigate it, to find all the information you need about our open calls and upcoming webinars and everything. So for the open calls, you need to go to the funding section. Here, you'll find information about funding opportunities. So basically both of them, community-led actions and transition agendas. If you click on any of those buttons, you will see information specific for each of those programs. So if we click on community-led actions open call, you can read information about this opportunity, open call, call details. Now, if you scroll down, you will see the open call timeline, application process, so project idea form, full proposal. And here, this is a very important part. So this is where you can check the open call terms and conditions, frequently asked questions, and form templates. Terms and conditions are a must read. So this is a very important document where you'll find all the most important information about the open call. I would also like to encourage you to browse through the full proposal form because this is, I think, a great way of preparing for full proposal submission. Even if you are at this project idea form stage, you can look at this document, it's in PDF, and just check what kind of information we require in the full proposal form, right? So you will see all the sections we've already mentioned today: contact information, legal information, project information, and then it starts. So you can check how the questions for relevance, impact, and implementation are formulated in the form, and prepare even offline for the form, for working on your full proposal, right? So this is what I wanted to show you. And it's the same, exactly the same for transition agendas. So you click here, you will find all the information, all the website. And if you scroll down, you'll find all the important documents linked here at the bottom. One more very important section of the website. If you go to news and events, in this section, you will find all the upcoming webinars, national language webinars as well, and all the events which are aiming to support you throughout the application process and provide you with information about the open course. So this is what I wanted to show. And right now, I think we can move on to questions if there are any.
Hi, Maria. No, we actually don't have any other any questions right now. We had a couple that were posted in the chat,
Okay.
but maybe I can reread them also in case some other users didn't get a chance to see them. So the first one linked to whether activities on land to prevent nutrient flow to the sea, for example, via inland waters, are eligible for funding.
Yes, we are very much focusing on inland waters as well. Just to make sure, I would recommend to go to Annex 1 in the terms and conditions, and that just find the bullet point that could be matched with exactly this kind of activity, all right? But yes, we are focusing on inland waters as well.
Perfect. Okay, and now we also have some more questions coming in. So Yuchen Wu is asking whether every submitted project idea will receive a consultation.
This is the idea. We communicate through the open call terms and conditions that we reserve the right to contact those applicants whose project idea forms include like full information. So if the project idea form is submitted with sections completed with ABC, we will not be contacting such an applicant. However, if you submit complete information, then yes, we will be contacting you for consultations, right?
Nice. And Yu Chen is also asking whether the call offer 100% funding to all consortium partners, whether they're research institutes, SMEs, industry, NGOs, or whether the funding rate depending on the partner type.
No, the funding rate does not depend on the partner type. It depends on how the consortium builds their budget, I'd say, right? So if there is a total budget for the project you are proposing, then how you share this budget between consortium partners is, let's say, your strategic decision. However, the funding rate is 100%.
Nice, all clear. Another question on consortia from Aiga Mary. Is there requirements regarding the representation of countries within one consortium?
No, there is no such requirement. So of course, once again, we are focusing on those 11 BANOS countries. If an entity is established outside one of those 11 countries, but their participation is justified, then it's okay. We also want projects who can focus on activities in one country, so within one community, but obviously there may be some activities implemented in a cross-border way, right? So it all depends on the project, and we have no requirements that, I don't know, that all the entities should be from the same country. No, we have no such requirements.
Okay, very clear. And Yucheng is also asking how many projects will be funded under this program?
Right. For community-led actions, it very much depends on what kind of budgets the project will request, right? So for community-led actions in total, for this funding instrument, we have 7 million euro. As you know, one project can receive up to 2 million euro, one project, right? But we may have projects with lower budgets. So the more projects with lower budgets we have, the more projects we will be able to fund, right? If all projects request the maximum available, so 2 million, then 4 or 5. So I'd say between 5 and 12. For transition agendas, we are planning to fund 10 projects.
Okay.
Within this open call. And maybe one more piece of information. So right now, the open call for transition agendas, it's the first open call for transition agendas. In about a year, we'll have the second open call for transition agendas, right? The open call for community-led actions is only one.
Okay, perfect. That's clear. So far, this was the last question that I can read in the Q&A. I invite others to also type down their question again. We also had a question about whether there is somewhere where applicants can look for partners if they don't know anybody. And our colleague Franny actually redirected them to the Blue Biomatch community. Yes, which is also linked on this slide.
Yeah. But also, if you have any requests or needs for partner matching, please communicate it during the consultation. We will collect all your needs, and depending on how many of them are, we'll try to support you. All right.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, it looks like our presentation was very clear because there are still no other questions coming through. I don't know whether also Sonia, is there anything that you would like to add?
I just wanted to emphasize the fact, I think, as you say, these individual consultations, even if your project doesn't necessarily go all the way through, you are still allowed to give the project information form and have that consultation, which in itself is a value for getting that expertise and feedback. So don't be afraid to, put your sketch together of your project early on and really get access to that, the competences in the project, the BAB experts through your individual consultation. So just to kind of remind people that that's one of the offerings through this.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, I see that a lot of people are thanking us, and we just arrived at 3 p.m. So I'll pass on to you again, Maria, to close.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So yeah, once again, we'd like to thank you for your time, for joining the webinar. We are very happy that we made it clear. We do realize this is not a very straightforward process. That's why we are organizing those webinars, and there will be more. So you can always follow our LinkedIn channel. We have an official BlueActionBANOS LinkedIn channel where all the latest news are being published. Also, the website section, which I